The GOP is dealing with former President Donald Trump as the continued frontrunner, according to the national polls. Some in the GOP, though, are not happy about that. Speaker Kevin McCarthy raised some eyebrows after his comments about Trump's 2024 campaign.
But do you think he could win an election? Could he win an election?
Can he win that election? Yeah, he can.
You think he can?
The question is he the strongest to win the election? I don't know that answer.
Oh, boy. Hours later, McCarthy walked those comments back, declaring Trump is stronger today than he was in 2016 and calling former President Biden's strongest political opponent. McCarthy's flip-flop comes as he faces a frustrated right flank, threatening a slew of federal funding bills and pushing Congress to a potential government shutdown showdown later this year. Boy, there's nothing Washington loves more than a shutdown showdown. Only debt ceiling limit gets us more excited. Bob, look, not like Donald Trump doesn't like anything less than hearing this. There's nothing of his political life that Kevin McCarthy does not owe to Donald Trump.
Right. Listen, I mean, McCarthy and Trump have had a rocky relationship. At one point, after January 6th, McCarthy floated censuring the former president. That didn't go over too well. What he said there was not that bad. It's just like, hey, is he the strongest? Basically, we'll see. There haven't been any votes yet. But as we all know, Trump can be a little thin-skinned. He can call you when he doesn't like what you say, or there's a bad article.
This is treason to Trump world.
But the fact that McCarthy also called him and reportedly apologized, that shows you the power of Trump in the GOP.
Well, apparently in his apology, when he said that he's stronger than 2016, he, in that email, also put in a fundraising pitch without Trump's permission, which then, so the apology made things worse for McCarthy. So it was not a good day for McCarthy. But I think it goes, again, to this question of loyalty, that's one of the core values of being a conservative, is a question of loyalty, and the sense that, Trump, helped him get the speakership, and Trump could take it away.
Yeah, Trump views loyalty as a one-way.
And Trump did do him a solid by not weighing in on the debt limit.
Oh, no, huge. Well, Trump has done McCarthy a number of solids along the way. So there you go. National Review, McCarthy accidentally exposes the Trump campaign's nervousness. The Trump campaign sensitivity is something as harmless as an expression of doubt about the unknowable trajectory of the 2024 election, exposes deep insecurities inside the former president's campaign and Trump's vulnerability to the electability question, they worried Noah Rotham. I feel like, Brad, that's a little bit of wishful thinking. I'm not really sure that's nervous, is it?
Yeah, and it's hard to gauge. I mean, Speaker McCarthy is constantly walking on pin needles these days. I mean, his speakerships at any moment could go up in flames due to the motions to vacate the chair that the far right keeps threatening. And he's depending on Donald Trump not to turn on him, because the minute Donald Trump says you're out as speaker, he probably is out as speaker. That's how powerful Donald Trump is within the Republican conference. And so he's got to walk this delicate line of protecting his majority, but also allowing his base to do the things they need to do to vent and to, right some wrongs that they felt they had in the last 2 years.
In a weird way, Bob, though, wouldn't you rather have a speaker that you control and that is totally beholden to you, as Trump does with McCarthy, than have a speaker who won it on his own through a nasty and dirty fight and now actually has independent power?
That's a good point, Leland. I mean, obviously, he doesn't have the same dynamic with Mitch McConnell, who he calls an old crow, and has gone after him repeatedly. So McConnell has been more mute. But yes, I think you want to have what some critics would say, not me, but some would say, well, he's doing Trump's work, and he has to in order to keep his job.
All right.
Well, he should have looked at the data, because Trump is actually beating DeSantis against Biden, according to Morning Consult, which is not a right-wing outlet. So
yeah, no, the polling seems to still indicate that Donald Trump is the strongest. Yep. It's very hard to make an argument otherwise. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.